with that, a lot of times you got to calm down a lot of the fermentables in the diet. If you're waking up distended in the morning, almost always there's a lot of fermentation happening in the gut and these gases are being produced. Now, there's a couple of variables that you can do to help that. One, you starve it out by reducing all the foods that feed that. Two, you have to be able to break down your foods because even if it's good food, if you're not breaking it down well, it's gonna essentially have the ability to rot and rincidify and putrefy. So you got to make sure enzymes, acids, and potential bile salts are addressed because HCl, hydrochloric acid, and bile salts, if you have low levels of that, those things in and of themselves are actually antimicrobial. They have a mild antimicrobial effect, not like oil of oregano, but they have a mild antimicrobial effect. So if you have like digestive distress and you have poor levels of these things, guess what? These bugs are more likely to grow. And of course, we have to come in there and do some killing, making assumptions that like if you have a lot of distension, like there's no fiber, there's no raw vegetables, even though you read all these things, have this big salad, you could steam some of these things. You may want to look at low fermentable things. That's great. You may want to make sure your stress is good and you're chewing your food up really well and you're, avoiding hydrating outside of an ounce or two of, water to swallow some supplements. So that's kind of your starting point. And if you want to reach out, Isabella, you feel free to use the link down below. You can reach out to Evan or I.
Let's read the rest of her comment here because I think it's helpful for people. So she said that she tested negative for SIBO. I'm guessing that might have been a breath test. And she said she's 21 years old and it affects her daily life. So when I hear 21-year-old female, a lot of bloating, as you mentioned, I think the veggies, I think cutting out leafy greens, no salads, maybe.
Or if you do it, keep them low FODMAP and steam it or saute it. Like I'm pretty sure bok choy and kale, that's low FODMAP. If you sauteed that in some coconut oil or some ghee or some kind of a good animal fat, you'd probably be okay. But test it, right? I'm all about testing, not guessing.
True, true. So I think about hormones. I think, okay, she's 21, right? This is healthy fertility age. Is there some sort of issue with hormone imbalances? Are there estrogen dominance type issues as well? What about breast tenderness? What about PMS, irritability? Are there mood issues as well? Or is it just extremely distended belly?
Now, in the history, that's going to come out with a good history because you're going to see it cyclically happen, typically premenstrual or typically ovulation. So a good history will fret that out. Let's assume it's every day. Hormones is probably not the root cause, but of course, we know we've already talked about it. Chronic digestive issues will eventually cause hormone problems because of all the inability to digest the nutrients to make the hormones over time.
Yeah, good point. And the bacterial overgrowth, which will crank up beta glucuronidase, so
Yeah.
that creates the
Yes.
recirculation of
Estrogen
hormones and
dominance.
toxins.
Yeah.
So maybe that. What about birth control too? Is that in the equation? I start thinking about that. So
Birth control pill definitely has an effect on alkalizing some of that tissue in the intestinal tract and the vaginal tract. That's why one of the big side effects that you see with like birth control pill is yeast infections, right? It's because it's shifting the pH. It's also creating a lot of nutrient deficiencies. So if you have birth control pill issues, it can definitely put you in that microbiome area where it kind of goes the wrong way there.